everybody. So welcome to City Love Speaks special edition of the RNC DNC conventions recap. So our goal today is to give you the information that we have and share in conversation to prepare you for the vote that happens in November. So that way you are prepared. So I want to welcome all of my guests. So of course, Darius Mooring,
Hey, what's
Stephen
up?
Moscos,
Hello.
Tabitha Robinson
Hi.
Scott, and our very special guest, host, Damian Michael Williams. Welcome, everybody. How are we all doing?
Awesome. And yourself?
Everybody's good?
Right. Yeah.
Because so we're going to jump into this whole Republican ENC, DNC, the verses. This is probably the best verses next to the Monica and Brandy ever. I'm going to say this is the verses. So we're going to kick it off with the DNC, the Democratic National Convention that happened 2 weeks ago, with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the Democratic candidates that will be on the ticket.
Question?
Sure.
Because I thought that is it pronounced Kamala or Kamala?
It's Kamala.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to.
Black people call her Kamala.
It's Kamala. Okay.
Right.
Kamala,
Right.
yeah.
And so it's Kamala because her children call her Mamala.
You're right. Well, I'm playing Avengers on PlayStation 4, and there's a Kamala Khan on there.
Uh-huh.
So, and I was like, I wonder if they're pronounced the same.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just
So
I mean, she's a badass woman.
Right.
I mean,
She's a badass woman, and it made me think of another badass woman. So,
well, I'm with you. I'm with you. So let's pull up the Biden and the Biden and Harris 2020 official advertisement. So big things that they're saying is the factor of like in the teardown of the DNC. Of course, you know, Biden has been around for 47 years working in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And the big breaking news from New York Times is that Kamala Harris is not the first woman of color to take the VP spot. It's actually Charlotta Bass.
yes.
So what I am going to say is, but she is the first Asian American of African American descent to have the VP spot. So, as blacks would have said, she's just a little bit blacker to take this role.
Right.
Then Charlotta, that was a full-born, Negro of the South, and was on a
when
white
was it?
ticket.
What ticket was this?
It's the actual Democratic
Don't say
ticket.
William Jennings Bryan.
No, it's actually she was on the Democratic ticket as well. I have the information. Give me 1 second. So yeah, Charlotta, and I didn't even know about this. I was reading the. So she was an American educator. She was born in 1874. So like she had been around like a good minute.
1952.
Back in 1952.
Yeah, 1952, and she was on the Democratic ticket. So my thing is, like, and then
We are history. Yeah.
Shirley Chisholm. We know about Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah.
So like as running for president on the women's and actually on the women's ticket, not even the Democratic ticket. She was on the women's right ticket. So Biden now is our nominee. So, how did you guys feel about the DNC? The Democratic Convention was it was just 4 days of a lot of trying really hard to say something to every single person, where I kind of feel like the message got a little lost outside of the factor Trump needs to go. That was the only consistent message.
Yes.
But I didn't walk away from the DNC feeling like I hadn't heard anything that I hadn't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
That or that there was a new plan to create a cracked window, or an open door to promises we've been made before. How did you guys feel?
So I think you are absolutely right that there's nothing new, because there is a growing coalition of people who want a lot of new things.
Right.
And they are vehemently to the left of Biden. They were, in many cases, reject Biden. But they also know there is, especially this go around, and we talked a bit about Sanders, and we can debate whether or not, yes, he didn't have his people unite behind Hillary Clinton, but also, like, to say that I mean, perhaps he was like learning those lessons. Also, he was receiving a lot of pressure to do that. But the biggest thing to me is that coalition of people is not going to be divided this time. Hashtag settle for Biden, hashtag blue no matter who. All these things are things that the leftist coalition is promoting amongst its own.
So I have a question then.
Liberal Democrat doesn't have any reason to court those people at all. The only people they need to court are people to his right. So they don't give a shit. They don't care about anyone to his left. And so that's why
would we be here do you think we would be here in this situation? I mean,
if Bernie was the nominee? Absolutely.
No. Well, we all knew that Bernie was never going to be the nominee. Actually, the fact that the DNC was not going to allow that to happen, because we're not ready. This country is not ready to go into full socialism. They're just not ready. It's not going to happen.
Whether or not you believe that he is full socialism,
it's not that. I'm going to go with his misogynistic tone and his misogynistic ways. So, into the point where what we do know is that Biden and Bernie have a long-term relationship for years. And there is a mutual respect between the two of them, which Bernie did not have at all for Hillary whatsoever, down to the point where when it was time to say, all right, I've lost, and concede it, Bernie did not go on this full campaign with his people to say, okay, we have to come together as a Democratic Party and vote her in. Even making the promise of making the promise that she could have been a one-term president.
Mm-hmm.
The misogyny behind it is largely the issue, where it's, even within this pandemic, Bernie put up no fight. Not like, he put up a fight all the way up, not only through the DNC with Hillary, but after. Down to the point of putting a threat in splitting the party to split the vote. But none of this has happened. So did they pull Bernie into one of them little rooms and say, this is what we're going to do? Or is it because...
I mean, he's a misogynistic? Had a real agenda, and they were like, guess what, buddy? You're going to rally behind them this time.
But he did rally behind, but he didn't. He did not do it with force. Like he did what he was asked, but he did not do it in this manner where he's campaigning for Biden, which he did not do for Hillary. Like he's actually campaigning for Biden.
Right.
So like he did not
it is with
do this at all.
4 years. I mean, and first off, I want to be 100% clear. If we're talking about misogyny of 70-year-old men who've been working in politics, I'm not saying that is not a thing at all. I'm not like minimizing it. I don't want this to be an indication that I am voting for like ignoring it or any kind of erasure. I just feel like obviously he's trying. Of course, he's going to try harder this time so that it's only 4 years and not 8. But like also, the only reason I was for him and not Elizabeth Warren is because she was going to forgive less of my student loans, and I got a lot of loans to forgive. So like that. I mean, yeah.
I mean, but not, and I love me some Elizabeth Warren. I love her. I don't feel she should ever be president. Like Elizabeth Warren being president to me makes as sense as Auntie Maxine being president. It's a hard no. Like they're not going to be the president for all the people. That's not going to happen.
What are you talking about?
Well, my thing is Maxine Waters. I love my Auntie Maxine. Love her.
I'm like, what's wrong with Auntie?
I said love her, but she is not going to be the president for all the people. It's not going to happen.
Why do you feel
like I hate to say, Maxine would be the anti-Trump down, where Republicans would feel about her how Democrats feel about Trump. Point blank, period. It would be get on board or go outside and get me a switch so I can beat you on board. It's gonna be one of them situations with Auntie Maxine because she's not for the foolishness. She's not here for it.
She's no nonsense
and
at all.
So in that factor, it would have been it wouldn't have been a whole listen. It would have been, I hear you. This is what we doing. Like meaning she's not gonna really hear you.
Even if she said that much.
Right. Elizabeth Warren is literally the Caucasian version of Maxine Waters, and then was like, and let me throw in that I'm a quarter Indian. So that way, that was a full system move. That was some old school 1970s. Like I got Indian in my family. That was full 1970s black. I got Indian in my family. That's why my hair is good. Like situation. Damn.
Since you the both of you have brought this up, what do you think about how with President Trump and all of these things that of course is tied just right next door to the DNC, but how many of the far right Republicans are now voting Democrat?
Oh, almost 30% right now.
Yes.
Well, I mean, because as they've said, Donald Trump is not representing the party and party principles
at all.
There's this video that I loved where it was like 5 different Caucasians. It was 2 women and 3 men. I posted it on our page on City Love Speak on Instagram. And
I loved it.
Trump is making these like facts. And this white woman, like, and she's like the school teacher that holds the ruler type of white woman.
Right.
And she's like, when? No. Not gonna happen.
I screamed. She was like, no. I said, okay, sure.
It was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then the poor white man, I felt bad for because he was like, in all his years of voting, he had to be like 60. He said he has never voted on the Democratic ticket. Never. And is heartbroken that he has to. Like heartbroken.
This feeling, yeah.
Just heartbroken. And which I love because, I was
glad
like,
heartbroken, but I don't trust it farther than I can throw it. And
well, but this is why I trust it now.
That's
I trust it now because this is the thing that Biden is. regardless if we like it or not, like part of the reason it took Biden so very, very long to even get into the realm of the court of the presidential factors was the factor that most Democrats thought that Biden was a traitor. Because Biden is one of the few Democrats that literally floats on both sides of the aisle consistently his whole career. He has friends on both sides. He has power moves on both sides. He has money from both sides. They weren't sure, are you really for us or not? And then, because he was so influential, this is why he wound up becoming the candidate to run with Obama. Because most of the white Democrats weren't going to, they thought it was political suicide to run with a black man. We saw this happen with Jesse Jackson back in the day.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
And so if you were a white Democrat, or white, and especially a governor, what you don't want, if you're a governor, your next shot is presidency. Point blank, period. You don't become a governor and become a senator. You don't become a governor and become a congressman. You become a governor to show that you can run a whole state to run the whole country. That is the whole goal of governor. And so, right. So it was like the only they had no one that would. But what Biden was able to do is Uncle Joe is Uncle Joe.
Literally.
Like, who he is, what we see is probably why I like him as much as I like him, is because what you see is really what you get. He don't really know how to fake it. Because when he tries, he trips up on his words and then he goes, oh shit, look. Like
they've posted some videos of him saying, "Oh shit, fuck." Yeah, that's just natural him because
that's who he is.
President Obama said the same thing, and Michelle was like, "He's not perfect, but that's Uncle Joe. He's for real, and he's gonna be himself, and who he is what he's gonna give you." Yeah. So also with you, Tabitha and Darius, how do you guys feel? Do you guys trust the far right Republicans, or how do you feel about that?
You asked Tabitha, does she trust the far right Republicans? That's like asking Darius if he trusts white people. Come on.
I mean, it's actually literally you're asking Darius.
You're like, hey, how about this?
Okay, so let me start by prefacing that I grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Amish country, baby. Amish country.
That's my answer. But in terms of Joe Biden, I've actually met Joe Biden on more than one occasion, on quite a few occasions, actually. Okay. I've actually been one of those people that bumped into him on the platform when he was taking the train back and forth. And he's just a cool guy. Like you said, he is who he is. He's unapologetic about it. He knows that he has to behave himself in certain environments to get his point across, but he really does believe and have a human heart, which I can't say about 45. He has integrity. He grew up in a tough knuckle town in Scranton, and he knows what it's like to build yourself from the ground up. He understands what's going on in our country. Now, granted, he can't flip a switch and fix everything, but I think he has a better handle on what needs to be done and what needs to be accomplished to set the precedent for the next Democratic president after him. I don't think that Joe Biden is planning on doing 2 terms. I think he is fully aware of his age. I think he's fully aware of his legacy. And I think he's fully prepared to be a bookmark to set us up for the next presidency after him, which hopefully will be Senator Harris.
See, I don't see that, but okay.
I know.
I don't see it.
I'm hopeful. Stop it.
I'm just saying, I don't see it.
But in the conversations I've had with Joe Biden, it felt authentic. I felt like I could talk to him. We talked about things very deep and heavy, as well as talking about things that were light and fun. I mean, he even made fun of another senator's tie in my presence. He's like, man, he always wears that tie on Thursday. So that's just who he is. And so
I love Uncle Joe.
Yeah, I
Right.
do too. And so I don't think that will diminish when he becomes president. I think we'll lose a little bit of that between now and the less than 60 days that we have till the election, because he
Right.
really has to knuckle down and grab those people that are to the right of him. And that's
Exactly.
what they were trying to reach during the Democratic convention. I mean, they're not talking to all the people that are already on board. They're trying to get the people that are the middle of the road, which apparently the demographic is the middle class white working families. And those are
Sure.
the people that bought on to the Trump wagon because of all the promises he made in
Right.
2016. And now they're in this very awkward situation where they're not successful, they're not thriving, they're not getting all these tax breaks and all these promises. And he's trying to swing them all the way to his side, which was smart.
Yeah.
I thought it was really smart that he used the anchors that he did. You bring out the big guns, you bring out Michelle, you bring out the President Obama,
Yeah.
you bring out, those were the things that kept us captivated because he knows that's his audience. Those are the people that are going to say, you need to vote, remind all the people around them to be advocates. So I
Right.
thought it was very strategic. I thought it was smart because he knows that we're going to watch and then we're going to talk to the people that might be toting the line
Right.
and we'll be doing the work for him. So, yeah, I mean, they were trying to do a whole image of hope and looking forward and promise because the state of the world is not great right now. And I think they
Yeah.
did as good a job in their non-conventional convention
Hmm.
to do that successfully, hopefully.
Right. Darius, how do you feel about that?
Well, I will go ahead and tell you this up front.
Uh-huh.
My role in being here is to ask questions and get information. I didn't watch either the DNC or the RNC because of how it affects my mental health.
Understandable.
So
Totally
yeah, so I
understandable.
had to take myself in doses. But a lot of what I will say that right now, what my position is, I'm absolutely on board with the Biden Harris ticket,
Right.
and I will be very clear that my stance with that is because the other choices just aren't viable, not because that is my choice.
Right.
True.
Joe is old. He's old and he's white. And that's just been
Right.
the entire. We're talking about moving forward. That's been the entire legacy. So what does? So my thing is, what is his president going to do to set him apart from what's been done before? And it's totally his VP. Because if he wasn't going to do it, make this move on VP, I would have been like, you know what, you can go to hell too.
Right.
Because if you're not going to do something that's going to be different than every other old white man that before you, then you're going to do the same thing that every one of them has done since.
Exactly.
So that's where I stand with that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation and getting more information. But yeah.
As far as like Republican voters are concerned, I think with all this polling, we like dramatically underestimate the space between a disgruntled Republican and a disgruntled Republican who will vote Democrat. And I think people can say whatever they want in the polls, but at the end of the day, we know two things about one thing about partisan politics, and then a second thing is about white people. And one is that with partisan politics, there's like this view of, you know what, it really sucks and I hate it, but it's still not them, and that's better.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is that white people don't talk about who they vote for. So take my mom, for example. Like, she talks about the fact that where I'm from, if you pull up an electoral map of South Carolina, Charleston was shaded blue. The districts in Charleston, they were blue. And she'll be like, we didn't vote for him. Charleston didn't vote for him. And I'm like piercing my tongue to go, not because of you, though. Not because of you. And so people can say all the things they want at family gatherings.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that it's how they voted.
Right.
Truth.
Well, the current polls have 52% voting for Biden and 41% voting for Trump. But at the same time, Trump's approval rating is 54%. So that tells you that we can't be complacent in just assuming that everybody's going to show up in the way that they need to vote for President
Right.
Biden.
Right.
Hopefully President Biden. But also an interesting fact I saw the other day was if the minority communities that didn't vote in 2016 vote, regardless, if they vote
Mm-hmm.
Right.
this coming election, there's no way that Trump will win. Flat out. But if they don't, if that same number and demographic does not vote, it's automatic that Trump will win. It is impossible. So that's the daunting fact. That's the thing that we have to do to advocate for people to vote. Because there's a certain community that we all know who just say, it doesn't matter, I'm just not going to vote, I don't like either of them. Instead of realizing the implications of the statement that they're making if they don't vote.
Yeah.
It's affecting everybody.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so with the DNC, we haven't touched much on it. So having not watched it, can we go around like, is you give like 2 points where you were like yes, or like 1 point yes and 1 point no, or just kind of give me a little bit of what you all got.
Well, as Dre stated earlier in today's show, is that about Michelle and President Obama, as well as Tabitha mentioned as well, he knew those are going to draw, that amount of heads and people, to really view and get the message out to. Eloquent, powerful, great diction. Just, it made me proud. It gave me, seeing those two beautiful Black people, let's just say it, African American king and queen, it gave me that feeling all over again in 2008. Because that entire week after they became, president and first lady, I was hoarse because I didn't know whether to cry or scream. Because I come from that old school to where a lot of, my ancestors and those who have gone, pioneers, as I call it, pioneers that have gone on before, they never thought they would see it. So for me to be present and in this world and to see and witness that, I screamed and cried just for that. Because it was just that overwhelming. I'm like, whoa. So for them to come and be a part of the DNC, rightfully so, I think. Even, along or besides Biden, rightfully so. Because they're now a part of that lineage, presidential lineage. So to see them, and they both gave powerful messages, but they had a lot of points, and Michelle said something along the lines of how you vote now. How you vote now is how we can see you'll treat your respect your country. I was like, whoa, that spoke volumes to me. As a matter of fact, I think I have her exact words. I have my notes. But I mean, she really broke it down to such a place to where they basically were both telling us it's going to be us. If we don't do it this time, we're literally all of us are held accountable, no matter the race, color, or creed.
Right.
So it's just like, if we don't step up and rise to the occasion, don't complain, honestly, because it is what it is.
Yeah, I think with President Obama's speech, it was extremely strategic because he doesn't have any buy-in. You know what I mean? He knows that everybody loves him. He's not running for any kind of office. He is in a place of power and integrity, and people respect him, so they're going to listen to what he has to say. So I think it was really smart that he used it as an opportunity to go after Trump in a number of ways and bring a number of things to light. And almost, it was we know Obama, he doesn't really go after people, but he went after Trump in his speech. And he was very clear that Trump did not uphold the office in the way that it was supposed to be. And he wasn't ready to do so. And he's not capable of doing that going forward. So I thought it was great that Obama set that standard, before Senator Harris and Joe Biden, because then Joe could come in and say, these are all the things that I plan to do as the future, because we've already established,
Right.
you know, your former president already established that he was not capable because he held the office and he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that in terms of Joe Biden's speeches, that was one of the most powerful I've ever seen. He was on his game. He was thorough. It was clear. It was passionate. It was emotional, but also firm. So I thought that was a speech he needed to deliver, and he did. Same with Senator Harris. Senator Harris always seems to people always want to assume that she's terse and cold, and she really used that opportunity to reach her audience and be more compassionate and loving, and I think she did that as well. But I think Joe hit it on the head. I think he had a really good night.
I absolutely agree. I think his speech was, I mean, one of the best speeches that he's given. It was, I think a lot of people were kind of on edge in terms of whether or not he'd be able to pull it off.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, and also just in contrast with the RNC, I mean, it was about a third of the time he was direct. I think that's something that we've come to value out of just, you know, putting him as a politician aside, out of the Cuomo press conferences is directness, and also like really removing sort of platitude. Like, of course you're going to have some "we're America, we are great," blah blah blah, but say the thing that we need to do. And that was also something I liked about Michelle Obama and some of the other speakers that spoke directly about what's happening to the post office. I think that
Truth. Yeah.
there's this, while like there's often, I feel like, an overemphasis, since we know that like alt-right republicanism is all about division, let's fight it with unity. It's like, okay, sure, let's paint the unity picture, but also we need to talk about what we need to do based on what they're doing to our systems. And I thought they did a really good job of that, of pressing voting, of giving sort of transparency to what's going on at the post office. And then the one thing I didn't like is that they just won't stop. And Michelle Obama was not like this, not Obama, not Harris nor Biden, but people like Klobuchar and people like Kasich won't stop trying to be funny. And I don't think anybody wants that. Like, it's because they're not funny. And I don't know about y'all, but every time I see them make a joke, I think of Hillary Clinton's Pokemon go to the polls joke. And I just think like, oh, this is how we lose an election. This is
exactly how we lose it, huh?
Yeah.
This is how we
But you notice Amy was on Monday night, so it was before anybody was really paying attention.
Well, in it, right. Yeah, I agree with you completely, Stephen. And Amy Klobuchar is not funny. She's never really been funny. Stop. Like, just like, stop. Just stop. Because it's painful. Like, it's painful when she gives a joke. It's even more painful when it doesn't land. Then it's more painful when she tries to make it seem like it landed and then it did. Like, it's just It is a car crash that just, the car keeps tumbling. It's like, well, the car stopped tumbling just so it can be over. It just like
it's about as painful as when she kept saying, "I'm the only person who on this stage who can beat Trump in the Midwest," and it's like, well, you think you would have won somewhere along the lines in any of these states that would validate.
It doesn't really take that to beat Trump. Is not the fact that she has to win anything. I mean, because he's not winning in anything either. So.
Well, but see, here's the problem.
Well, there weren't any primaries.
But if Amy Klobuchar would be a candidate, Trump would win.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that's to the point where, because what our country is not prepared for, this was part of the Hillary Clinton situation. A lot of men and a lot of white women do not feel like a woman should have this much authority. They just don't believe it. They and especially if you're part of that the Bible Belt, you know,
My mom's friend said that it's a man's job.
well, more than that, it's just a man's job because it's not really what you say a man's job. I mean, I hate to say, women are by far women are better negotiators than men. Always, they always have been. The problem is what America is afraid of, and this is just my full opinion, and I stick to it. The moment that we are able to have a woman president, we will be in a position to become a global government. Margaret Thatcher was the first to actually even introduce global government in the sense of because what women are able to do is women are able to understand the basics.
And they
Basics
break it
are
down.
safety.
Right.
Basics are if my child is hungry, this is a problem. Meaning that we need to make sure that we take care of these farmers because if we don't take care of the farmers, then we don't have this milk. If we don't have the milk, then we can't have healthy babies. We don't have healthy babies, we don't have healthy citizens. Like they put all the pieces together and take themselves out of it.
Right.
And so this would become more global. It has been the fear of both parties that that we've had more women come into Senate and Congress than ever before. This is the women's rights dream come true. The difference is the women that have been getting voted in are women that are they are thinkers and they're critical thinkers. It's about solving a problem more than it is about, and all of them have their own problem to solve. And they can agree and disagree to make it happen, but they have one focus. They don't have this like broad factor when we listen to like you know Vernon.
Uh-oh.
That decided
Right.
Vernon that got 99 problems and the bitch is one. The bitch is the problem for him. Kamala Harris is really the problem for him.
Literally.
It's not really Biden. It's not the Democratic Party. It's the factor of he is a black man feeling that a black woman should not be over him. That is really the bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't understand why he felt that he could speak for all of us. I'm like, no.
Because he's the educated Negro, apparently.
Oh.
He's free thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, but here's the problem with the free thinking. You can't get on the RNC stage and talk about us free thinking and don't let us freely think. Sir.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you don't agree with him, you're not free thinking. That's
okay. So wait, yeah. So let's go. Wait. So let's go on over to the 2020 RNC.
Oh mercy.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
So like woo! So the 2020 RNC.
It had my blood pressure up. I promise you. I felt it. Yeah, my sugar was low too. So it was just,
Donald Trump, better known as Orangina, and Michelle Pence. I'm sorry, Mike Pence. Are now the voted. Have been nominated by the RNC to be the continued nominees to. Now it's Keep America Great because it was
Make America Great Again.
Right? Again. I don't know.
Right.
And
I love how Trevor Noah talks about that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I don't know. So
can we talk about Nikki Haley?
Okay, so let's look at the promo that has been sent out. That is the national RNC photograph of Pence and Trump and Pence, Trumpolina and Pencina for 2020.
Yeah.
Man,
Girls.
Ooh, the
And
Right.
oh my
they
god,
really shrunk his body, didn't they? Like
contour.
bad Photoshop.
All the contour and cheeks and high cheekbones. What is that?
Right.
Little bit
They're
of
different. They're two different people's bodies, really. and
Literally.
then-
Pence looks like an old Anderson Cooper. It looks like what Anderson Cooper gonna look like when he stops doing the keto diet. That's exactly what.
Anderson is never going to look like that.
Yeah.
You know what?
Anderson.
Anderson's gonna look like that because Anderson has a new baby, and Anderson's gonna start eating his feelings,
Right.
And then Anderson,
like all white women do. Like all white women do. They start eating their feelings, and they gain that freshman 20 again after the first pregnancy. And I'm telling you, it happened to Andy Cohen.
Oh, it did happen to Andy Cohen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's gonna happen. It's coming.
We won't see it though.
It's coming.
He'll
I
have
don't
on
think
spanked.
so.
He's going to
Right.
put it together.
Oh, he's gonna be spanked down. Like he's gonna be spanked down. I'm not that way.
Right.
His mama, Gloria Vanderbilt, was his mama.
Right.
Like she was the first woman to create denim that had spank in the denim. She was the stretch denim girl. She was like, this denim gonna suck you in. You ain't gonna be able to breathe, and you gonna lay down when you put these on. But you gonna wait. But your booty gonna be cute, even if you ain't got no booty, because all your fat has gotten pushed to the back.
That part.
I was not mad at Gloria Vanderbilt. I wasn't mad at her.
No.
I wasn't mad at her at all. I wasn't mad at her. She said, we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna work this out. She said, we're gonna give these white women some sister shape without these pads. That's what we're gonna do. That's what
We
we're
gonna
gonna
sissy
do.
that walk, baby. We gonna sissy that walk.
And that's exactly what she did. So I'm not mad at it whatsoever. But so the RNC. So
Why do we all sigh whenever he says it?
Yeah.
because it's
automatic like.
so
Let's
the
try.
brilliant. So what I'm going to give to them, the 4 nights of the RNC was great television. Point blank period. The production behind it was phenomenal. We have not seen production this good since Scandal. Let's just be 100. The production behind it was amazing. It really was amazing. Like, it was clear screens. They were color coordinated down with, the red, white, and the blue. And they had the most controversial people. You know, like the nurses, they had her in the white because they knew she would be blotchy and too big, being that round in the red. And then all the men had on the blue suits with the red tie. Like, it was uniformed down. But it was also produced by the producers of Donald Trump's
The Apprentice?
The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was produced by those same producers. So it was gonna be good TV. They even had the black people lit good. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due.
But
Because they only get a little bit of credit. You said what now?
They didn't press the flags.
What? I'm glad that they didn't press the flag.
Like,
it was too many flags as it was.
They took them clearly out the box and just put them up. That was
The
annoying.
rapper and just stop them right there.
Yeah. It was. We gonna cover this girl up in all American flags now.
Hot mess. I'm like, pull as many as you can, just put them across.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like,
Yeah.
we need more flags.
Right.
More flags.
Right.
Right.
So
Where's the rest of the
Need
flags?
more America.
Right.
So
Again.
in the RNC, so the RNC produced more nominees for the Negro Please Award
Yeah.
than
Oh yeah.
ever before. I'm just gonna say. We're to the point where, thank you to our shout out to our followers in their voting with the Negro Please Award, where at the end of the year, we're going to have like the Negro Please Award MVP, like the most
Like the
valuable.
Olympics.
Kind of like the American Music Awards.
Yeah,
right.
like
yeah,
you're gonna get the Negro Please of your award. Like it's coming,
right.
and like it's coming. Like and it's not, it's not personal. We're just trying to give you viewers what you ask for, what you want, and I love that y'all petty as me. I do. So Daniel Cameron. So let's just go back a little further to the RNC. So information that I didn't even know about, that the RNC convention that was 4 days really wasn't the RNC convention, because it initially was supposed to be in Charlotte. It did not happen in Charlotte because the governor said it would be a COVID risk, because they did not want to abide by the wearing masks and social distancing by 6 feet apart. So then they moved it to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So in the process of moving it to Jacksonville, the campaign spent all this money for them to be in this arena in Jacksonville, or it not to be in Jacksonville, for it to be split between Washington, D.C., the White House, but the actual delegation of the nomination happened in Jackson. This is where we saw on the first day, where we saw all of the stop and repeats, and it would just be these random people that weren't lit well saying, our state gives 37 votes to Donald Trump, whatever. It took them 1 hour to tape all of that, and it was technically over, because that is what the convention actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so they spent thousands of campaign dollars to produce this, as well as our personal tax dollars to host 180,000 people at the South Lawn with no masks, no social distancing, no mandatory temperature tests or rapid COVID tests.
Right. None of it.
Wow.
So I want to start there with the RNC. I want to start there. For our viewers, to be clear, because I do know that the majority of our viewers are Democratic, but we do have several Republican haters that follow us, and we do have Republican followers that are like, look, we got to be on your side. We don't want to be, but we got to. So that are our viewers. And, here at CLS Speaks, we love everybody. We may not like your ways, but we love you. All the same. All the same. We love you. Because what is this country if we can learn to agree to disagree? And what we can agree on, the RNC 2020 was some BS.
Right.
Complete.
And in many cases, illegal. Like,
very much
there
so.
is the Hatch Act. There's a law. It's called the Hatch Act. And no, with the exception of the president and vice president, members of the executive are not allowed to participate in politicized events. So Ivanka Trump participating and Kushner participating, that is illegal. Mike Pompeo participating is illegal. It's use of the White House is debated because any executive officers that then needed to take part as part of working at the White House could then be in potential violation of the Hatch Act. Like, the people who were the people doing the pardoning and the naturalization ceremony, the people who were overseeing that, it's now part of a political event, and they're in violation of the Hatch Act. It was
So this is where we start with making America great again.
Again. Right. Again. Yeah.
Again. So
Right.
then, so day one, the speakers, you know,
Yes.
Nikki
yeah.
Haley.
Yeah.
Racism doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
I
this is
mean,
not a racist
because
country.
you know what I'm saying, her father.
Where do you live?
This is my favorite. My father
Which is
wore a
South
turban.
Carolina.
My mother wore a sari. Girl, I was
Right.
a brown girl in a black and white world. Girl.
For real.
Girl.
Right.
Like,
Also, like, as somebody from Charleston, you know, to bring up the shooting, the way that was handled was highly controversial, and the especially when it comes to the response to what has occurred in the the George Floyd protests. You know,
Right.
it's the praise for the, you know, basically religious black forgiveness of white terrorists. You know, and a lot of people are fed up with that.
well, right. And then Nikki
And
Haley,
praise it as she did.
but she got her due the following day because she stupidly decided to go on Good Morning America with George Papadopoulos.
And
Mhm.
yeah.
And
George was not having it.
He was there.
it was the gift that kept giving. Like, it was just the gift that kept giving. It really,
right.
it was the gift that kept giving because she was in full politics mode because she again drank the Orangina juice,
Yeah.
which most Republican, like, you know what I'm saying, which, you know, the moving figures of the party have all drank the Orangina juice because it is support Trump or die. And because they're so afraid of losing their political standpoint, because what Orangina has been able to do is destroy lives and kill jobs that have taken them lifetimes to get to.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, we've seen it. So, like, in those factors, you're like, okay, this is happening. So her going on Good Morning America and George full saying, so prior, you tweeted the following. Do you still stand by this?
Mhm.
She said, well, you know, in America, I did not ask you that question. He got right in it.
Yes.
Right.
Like, he got right in it. Nikki Haley was not prepared. And also huh?
Can we call her by her real name? Because you know her real name isn't Nikki Haley.
Oh, I know. That again.
Nimrata.
A whole reason why
Right.
you may not. Right. My thing is again a whole nother reason why. And girl, if you did not look like a well painted Bobby Mack Caucasian woman,
Right.
you are a terrorist upon the stage of Donald Trump, honey. I'm just gonna say, you are a terrorist, mother. You are a terrorist, girl. Full on terrorist.
Right.
The whole point.
There are not many sick families in
His whole
South
base
Carolina.
was waiting for her to blow up
Right.
and say, "Who's she?" It's like they were waiting for it the whole time on the RNC.
Right.
Wow.
But your assimilation, because you assimilated to a point where you can, out of your mouth, full on say, we're a work in progress, that we don't have a racial problem.
And that
Like,
President
for real.
Trump has built America.
And live in
Helped
Charlotte.
rebuild America. I'm like, where?
Where? But my thing is,
Where?
so wait, so Tabitha, our resident fact checker.
Yes, please.
Please
So
do.
Tabitha, was Nikki Haley lying for the president or like saving her job? Like what was going on?
Well, as of 4 months ago, she was talking in opposition to the president and tweeting about it regularly in relation to his foreign policy, because as we know, she's an ambassador for foreign policy. So obviously she, between then and now, has had the Kool-Aid substantially enough to infiltrate her system to make up those things. I think they were trying, because they know that they need the minority vote. So they were trying on day one to use a person that's of color adjacent, we'll say, to bring up the fact that, to tell us that racism doesn't exist so that somebody will believe it, I think, and not really reference our own personal experiences. Because I feel like Trump is putting out an energy where whatever he says is factual and he expects people to believe it. And I think everybody was on board with that at the RNC. And unfortunately, that is just not true. If I don't step out of my apartment, I don't experience racism. But then again, I can't say that because sometimes when I'm watching television,
Oh,
I'm experiencing racism.
I'm experiencing racism. So that in fact is not correct. And then it's just that essence of just muddling the truth and finding ways around what is actually factual continue throughout the RNC, including the at least 42 facts I found in President Trump's 72-minute speech.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, I know. I'm ready.
But so before we get there, let's talk a little bit about Trump Jr.'s infomercial.
right.
During the RNC. Because it was an infomercial.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
And
it was
they
a full infomercial.
He and all speakers were really dealing with, I feel like it was most pronounced with him and Pence, that they have to play this bizarre game, which is we're in such a terrible spot.
Yeah.
Doom and gloom.
But Donald Trump is in control. And so they're like having to give credit to Joe Biden for everything that's happening now and say that the only way to stop it is to elect Donald Trump. And it's this bizarre split that they have to make from reality because the only other option is to credit Donald Trump with these colossal failures. Like somehow federal troops in Portland is a Joe Biden thing. You know, it's like, I guess somebody's believing it.
Because he's law and order.
Somebody.
He's a law and order president. Law and order.
Right.
But was a law and order president.
Right. But then you think that they would paint it as Trump being a law and order president. But no, it is the dystopia of Biden's America.
I want them to start calling Orangina Boss Hog at this point. That's what it feels like. I just want them to call him Boss Hog.
Right.
And we always, Roscoe Pico train was always suspect in general because he was never with no woman, which is Pence.
Okay.
Like full on, like they are the Dukes of Hazzard. Like they are the main characters in the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm just like,
that's true.
Because we live in Hazzard at this point. This is just how I feel. Like I'm going, and so then, of course, within fashion of drawing out the. Well, you did this first. The RNC decided to invite Vern Jones as a lifelong Democrat to speak at the RNC for all of the educated Negroes. Not all the Negroes, just the educated Negroes.
The educated.
So, Darius, how did you... We talked about this in length, and this has triggered me to a whole place of angst. Just saying Vernon's name. Where's my nerve?
Well, this is always an issue, especially because being raised in the South in the church. My dad has a high school education, but what was instilled in us was get your education, because any black person that was anything that was doing well was an educated black person, like through academia. So like there's this whole thing where with that generation that if you're educated, you have this certain voice that you can then articulate that represents anyone that is either educated and not at the mic, or that's not educated and doesn't have the space in the room to speak. And so it is not surprising to me that you're going to have black people, especially now, who are being tokenized and who are being drawn in close and who are being paraded around, because I have not seen so many people. I'm not so I didn't watch the RNC, but I'm just saying, like, in different infomercials, so many black people are now being paraded around, whereas last election.
But this is what we do know, before you go there. Most of the black and Hispanic people that are being paraded around by the RNC are Democrats that had no idea that this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were being posed.
Yeah.
So the RNC came posed to them as that they were part of the Democratic Party and filmed them, had them sign waivers, and then this was thrown. There are literally 65 people of color that is now in a new lawsuit that the RNC utilized their image to promote the RNC when they are lifelong Democrats and only support the Democratic Party and do not agree with Trump.
Right.
So the visuals you've been seeing aren't real. They aren't real.
Right. There's real.
This is what pissed me off about Vernon. And like you said, like with being a black child, growing up in the United States, education is currency. It's what we've been taught as black kids because it's the one thing they can't take away from you. They can't take away your knowledge. They can't take away what you know and what you know for sure. It's why Oprah says, what I know for sure is, it's the thing you can't take away. It's currency. And within black culture, that is the ultimate currency that we trade for acceptance, money, jobs, better lives, better friends. Like, it's where we have colorism and classism as people of color that white people have, but it's not in white culture. You can pull yourself on the bootstraps and become new money. And you're not respected, but you get indoors. In black culture, it is your education. Your education is your classism. And then we add colorism on top of that classism, meaning that I can be this dark because I'm this smart. But if I wasn't articulate and eloquent, and especially if I wasn't eloquent, I don't even need to be articulate. I just have to be eloquent in my speaking, which then gets me a pass at the light skin table. It's just the way, and it is a Republican rule because prior to the last, 8 years, the majority of African Americans in this country were Republican. They were not Democrats. The Democratic vote did not start changing for black people until Clinton. A lot of black people voted for Ronald Reagan. A lot of them, especially if you come from any type of religious background.
Yes.
And black. So not until Clinton did we really step forward on the Democratic stage, but also they started voting in more Democrats into the Senate, and so that were black, not Republican. Like it started becoming very socialized, divided again. And so I I understand what Vernon was trying to do. The problem was Vernon's speech was just. Vernon was mad because they've never asked Vernon to speak at the DNC. He's never spoken at the Democratic National Convention ever.
I wonder why.
Kamala Harris is new. A lot of people don't really kind of realize that for real too. Unless you are really like a hardcore Democrat, Kamala Harris is new. We've only been seeing Kamala Harris for the last 4 years, maybe 5, that she was in our mouths. Where Vernon has been, as you said, a lifelong Democrat. He has been part of the Democratic Party and working in the party since he was 28. He is now 54. So like I'm going like I mean, so that whole slighted thing, she real. Like she's real. Down to Daniel Cameron. So Daniel Cameron decided to speak at the RNC because he is in the news because of the Breonna Taylor case. That during this case, Daniel Cameron has felt like his personal life was more important than getting justice at the end of the day. He got engaged to another white woman, secretly got married before the RNC in August with Mitch McConnell in attendance. So we have to question. So Mitch McConnell can show up to your private ceremony wedding, but he can't show up to a meeting so we can push this thing through to get this Breonna Taylor situation done. Putting the weight of the White House behind it.
Exactly.
I'm
True.
I'm just I'm just gonna tell the truth and shame the devil a little bit. That's all I'm gonna do. And so what? Like I'm going. And so Daniel Cameron spent 4 minutes of his 6-minute speech talking about Lincoln and Eisenhower. Well, that's the old Democratic Party. That's not this Democratic Party. And we can't regain that. Republican Party, which were Democratic thought processes at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln and Eisenhower were Republican members that reached very far across the aisle consistently, all the time. Lincoln and Eisenhower are the exact are Biden. Biden has followed in the footsteps of those two almost identically. If you look at Biden's record, his voting record, his prowess, his fundraising, it all. It's about Lincoln, Eisenhower, Biden. All the same. So you praise someone as you trashed Biden because he said to defund the police is to allocate funds to where they actually should go, but he is not for abolishing. That Daniel Cameron said that's what the Biden-Harris party is going to do, is going to abolish the police, which isn't true. And our fact checker Tabitha, am I right about this? I just want to make sure, I want to give the people the right information. That's not what it is, but this was all the first night of craziness. Like this was all the first night.
Wow.
Then, Damien, so not only was Trump Jr. high as hell
And drunk.
but can we talk about his low-mouth ex-Fox affiliate girlfriend that was deaf? Because I believe that Canada called the police on our whole country on a noise orders. I believe they did.
Why was
Because she went off. Because I was like,
What was she
why are
telling?
you talking? What do you have to say? You don't
My
know.
ears still are ringing. I'm just saying, my ears are still ringing.
And she was just so. First of all, mostly, the heavy hitters like Nikki, and especially, Donald Trump Jr. and as well as, his girlfriend, and it seemed like everybody was just so angry.
Yeah.
It's just the aggression was just.
But when you be mad if you force the lie?
I have to give it to Donald Trump Jr. because on the slope, he would be.
He was the best speaker.
Yeah,
he was the best speaker.
But he was just so angry, and I'm, of course, I'm looking in his eyes. I said, that's not $2 Chuck. No.
No.
And that's that other stuff. And I mean, he was just red in the face and sweating. I said, what's going on?
Because he was like, because when you lie, your body tells on you.
It does.
Right.
Like I'm just saying.
So it's a mixture of all that.
Like,
well, I mean,
it was a rejection.
Joe Biden, and he was going on to say that Joe Biden and the Democrats are a threat to America, and Joe Biden is a monster, and people.
Well, he is a monster.
He was saying
Biden
that
is a monster
of the church are under attack due to Biden and his policy.
But Biden is a monster because why is Biden a monster? Biden gonna make him pay his fair share in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Biden is gonna put his daddy in jail.
All of prison, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not just him, he gonna put the family. He gonna put his sister. He gonna put his Amy. That's the judge.
Amy. I'm about to say, don't leave out Amy.
Like, I'm just saying, and I love me some Mary. Like I would get poster and I would be out
gave the full tea in that recording.
I feel like I'm like free Mary Trump. I'm here. Mary Trump needs to be free.
She all good, yeah.
I want her to be my friend.
Right.
I feel like
be the homie. Like, I feel like home, sis. What's up?
I feel like she got the best sherry in Waterford crystal.
Oh, she does.
And it's full Waterford crystal sellers. I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
Right.
I am here. She is the only Trump I am here for. I am here for Mary Ann Trump.
Yeah.
We could be besties.
Because Mama gave all tea, and I'm like, whoa.
We could be besties.
But it wasn't, and here's the thing. Even with her tea giving, it was a lot of things that we already know.
Yeah.
Right.
She came and confirmed and also added to and, projected it. It's like, oh, damn. Okay.
That part.
But yeah. But I mean, I was looking at Donald Trump Jr. and I'm like, especially being raised in the hood, so you know what certain things are and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh, so that's okay to do that and then get on national television and do that and be that way while you're projecting and barking at, the American people. This is who you need. I'm like, wait, pause, respect me, and don't spit. But don't spray it. Thank you, appreciate it. But I mean, it was just to the fact to where even though I heard the things that he said, because I haven't took note, even though I had to wear my journalism hat, I didn't want to, but I survived it. The RNC I did. But
it was hard.
I just felt like daggers was just coming. If you don't, and he's just wrong, and as you were stating, and as many of us, Stephen, as well as Tabitha, we're basically saying that they basically were painting a picture, a fictional picture but it wasn't reality. This is fiction, this is reality, right. And it's like, okay, no.
Right.
Biden is the reason why we're in this rut today, and why children are being separated from their families.
Right. It's like let's pretend.
Madam Fact Checker and Stephen, right. Please.
Let's frame the speech.
Right.
Like Biden is president, and Trump is the challenger, because even Trump Jr. is saying things like, "Imagine a world." Where you can have your American dream. Yeah. I'm like, I'm trying because under your dad, we don't have that. Like,
imagine being able to eat in a restaurant.
Right.
In the restaurant. because of Trump. I'm just saying, like, I mean, you know, just it'd be the real thing.
Imagine having a free world. The only way to
And
get there.
I want him to say, imagine,
no.
imagine being able to have enough money to utilize this dumb ass travel tax rebate that my dad is giving y'all. Oh wait, you can only get it if you make $96,000 more a year.
Right. You can only if you get right on the button, then you're this high. If you can reach this high, then yeah, it's a no for you. But yeah, Trump is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, no.
No.
You know, he's helped, you know, just like Nikki Haley, you know, per se. She was saying that, you know, Trump has helped rebuild America to where it's supposed to be, and after this pandemic he's going to do the same thing. And I'm like, it's a hard no.
Yeah.
This is how Zen Daggers, this is how I felt. Now, I made it through Vernon. I made it through Daniel.
Yes.
But that Tim Scott, that broke my heart.
Yeah.
It broke my heart. It broke my heart.
To give up from the Jesus moment during the speech. I'm like, bruh.
If he don't, I think it's Bojangles. I can't with you, Bojangles.
Uh-huh.
Like,
get you some chicken, bruh.
Please, and a biscuit, and sit down. Because I cannot. Because when he talked about how his grandfather would be 99, and his family legacy of going from cotton to, you know, Congress, and I'm like,
and his upbringing with Chick-fil-A.
But my problem with it is, you know, Trevor Noah said it best. Your story should not be special. Which shows we live in a systematic racist world. That it's unfair. That all chances aren't given to all the same black people.
Is another one. He's another one that painted this fictional Disneyland picture.
Well, but he has to, because he is Bojangles. He here for tap dance. Like, he is going to tap dance his way because he comes from this space. And this was where my issue with Daniel Cameron comes from. Daniel Cameron's mama is a G, honey. I've met her. She's a G. She's not a game. She is for the folk. And I promise you, Daniel is getting an earful from his mama saying, you ain't right. You got our folks out here, this girl dead, and you ain't did nothing? Because get into it. What black mama ain't in a picture at your engagement party? I'm not a black mama, Tabitha. Being our national fact checker, do black mamas not show up to the wedding if they don't like the woman that the boy is marrying?
Whether you have invited me or not.
Boom. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. I just felt it come all over me. I just felt it.
Yes, hello.
What? Y'all know not in their picture? Y'all with no mask and not social distancing?
You're not going to tell me what I am or am not going to do because I'm the mother.
Right.
Therefore, I will be there if I want to. And if I don't want to, there's a whole other statement right there.
Okay, I think we have a new swag t-shirts.
Therefore him.
Because we already got circa not never. Therefore hints. That blessed my soul right there. That blessed my soul. I just can't. Like, I'm going, Tim Scott, it broke my heart. Just because for you to give this lineage of the black story and you to be able, within your right mind, stand on that stage and support a candidate that not only don't give a damn about you, but has shown you they don't give a damn about you by snubbing you on stages and at all. Like, and don't get me wrong, I understand, because the one thing I respect about the Republican Party. The Republican Party is a black family at heart. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm gonna support you, but I'm here. Like you gonna stand, I'm gonna stand with you through it all. We're going this house, stay in this house. We're gonna stand with you. That the Republican Party is based off of those principles. And come hell or high water, he was the candidate, and that's what they did. And then night four happened. So first, sip it on, Darius, because Melania decided she was gonna come for Cardi B, which you don't do.
Never. Ever.
And Cardi B, if you are watching, we want you to be a host up on the City Love Speaks because we love you.
Please and thank you.
I love
Cardi B, you are amazing.
oh,
Wait, Dre, you know the only way we're gonna have Cardi on is if we on Netflix or HBO or some other because we can.
well, they all looking for a black show. All of them need a black show with cisgender and gay people and a white man. I'm just saying we hit all the demographics to get signed and picked up. I'm just saying. Oh wait, well, and again, that's going to be the brilliance, because she won't. Because you know why I know she won't? Because Whoopi doesn't, and when Whoopi does, Whoopi goes, "I know I am." So she writes that $10,000 check up front to pay these fees. And if Cardi can buy a whole, if she can buy 12 bags and 5 new cars for her baby daddy, she can write this own check. You can curse all you want. They're gonna beat you down, but I'm here for her.
I'm like telling her earlier. I'm hoping she does. I'm just hoping.
I said between her and Tiffany Pollard. I'm just saying, New York.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I would love for Joy Reid. Honestly, I'm just gonna put it out there.
Oh well,
I would love for Joy Reid to come and just lay it down. Please.
Down. Like, well, I love Joy, and Joy may not come on because I'm hard on her.
Right.
And she knows, because like her stylist follows us. She knows I'm hard on her. I did appreciate her ode to Whitney Houston through the RNC and DNC convention, because she gave you Nippy Wig.
Right.
Through
Nippy hair curve.
Full on Nippy Wig, which I'm very glad.
Right. And yet we are glad.
Because her shake and go wasn't shaked or going for a while. So
right.
I'm glad.
I appreciate it.
And I say this all the time. Everybody knows. MSNBC, watch the Joy Reid show. I mean, watch us too, but watch the Joy Reid show, because the more viewers she gets, the more budget she gets, meaning she get better hair, she get better makeup, she get better clothes. I'm just saying, if we ain't learned nothing about good budget, India Reid is a prime example of good budget.
That's true.
She went from not my hair, being dark skinned, to good lighting, to cocoa butter, being golden. I'm just saying.
Mama's real. Right.
Budget will get you everywhere. Well, Oprah Winfrey. Remember the beginning Oprah shows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It took Raquel Welch to come on the show to teach Oprah about lighting. Down. She was like, "Oh no, you gonna light me." She was like, "Oh, this light need to come here. This light need to come here. We gonna need a yellow situation."
That part.
Yazoo City, Oprah.
When Barbara Streisand came on, and she said, "Where'd you get a mic wiper?" She said, "I had them painted. I had to paint yours." Bam! I'm just saying. Sometimes we can learn something from our Caucasian counterparts. Sometimes we can learn something.
Oh yeah.
But Tiffany Pollard, Cardi B, I'm even gonna say Gabrielle Union.
Oh, okay. Right.
Just because
I want Ilhan Omar on the show.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and of course,
Like,
of course, Kendrick Sampson has an open invitation to my home as well as the show at any time.
Anytime.
Because we love you. We love you. We love you, Nathan. We love you. Issa don't know what she doing. She don't know what she doing. She don't know.
She don't know.
No.
She don't know.
But
She don't know what to do with it. She don't know. No.
right. So now, so Melania, she decided to come to Cardi. I don't know why she decided to put the rappers in her mouth and tried to disenfranchise that there needs to be more women like her, which was surprising because I'm like, Melania was like, there need to be more women like her in her speech.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
And so, where the problem for me was, well, how is that possible, Melania, when your husband don't want none of the foreigners to come in? He stopped immigration. Then, girl, obviously, there is a problem between you and Ivana because
that look.
that face was real, girl.
Yeah, it was icy cold.
That face was the face that you normally see Shaquita have on Cheaters when she see the video. That was that face.
Like yeah.
She said, oh, this what we doing? This what we doing?
She was ready to get.
And when I say I love Black Twitter for showing it, then showing it in slow-mo, then in super slow-mo.
The breakdown. The breakdown.
Yeah.
Eddie, I love it.
That was the best breakdown. That was the best body language breakdown because they felt miserably when they tried to break down that whole the verses with Brandy and Monica body language. You missed but y'all had it down on this Melania Trump. Y'all had her down. Y'all had it down. And I'm saying Melania's whole face was like, don't reelect him because I'm getting a divorce the moment we up out of this White House.
Because I was just about to say, because every time that he reaches for her, she snatches her hand like bruh, this is business. This ain't romance. Check yourself. We're not doing that. And I'm like, ooh. And I mean from Jump Street, because every time he reaches for her, she like, mm-mm. I'm like, damn. Television? Girl, y'all know nothing about no cover up, do you?
She said, I'm here for the green card and I'm a naturalized citizen now because you did it on national TV, which was so disrespectful on the fourth night when he did the nationalization ceremony. That is a real sacred ceremony. Becoming an American citizen.
Right.
And all of those people were from the quote shithole countries that he talks about. It was a full rewriting of history. And then I'm gonna let you take this, Tabitha. The speech. Oh, sweet Jesus God. I feel like I need a whole nother bottle.
That's an order, right?
Well, the fact that he decided to do it on the White House lawn, as Stephen already talked about, was an issue. The fact that he opted to do it with an audience without masks was an issue. He took it a step further by creating this false reality and presenting things that simply weren't facts. Here's a few.
Yes.
Let's start with the fact that he said the U.S. has the lowest fatality rate of COVID-19 in the world. Just process that.
Okay.
If this is alone, tell me that's not true. As of today, more than 185,000 people have died of COVID in the United States.
Alone.
And still dying. That's just.
He said that he wanted to expand energy and stop the production of importing oil into the United States. He's already done that. He's already gone against everything that President Obama installed. He's already reversed a number of clean air bills. He's already reversed a number of climate change bills that President Obama instilled and then turned around and said that he is the reason why our air is better and the air quality is better and clean energy is the future. He's taking credit for things that Obama has already done. He said that Biden will defund police departments throughout the country and abolish the police was the word he used. That is simply not true. It's a reestablishment of funds. But again, it's that fear tactic and the doom and gloom that he wanted to establish. He said that the Biden campaign was using the Russians to spy on his campaign. And we know how much he loves the Russians. So
he isn't him and Putin's bromance. I'm just saying.
Right. That's his boo thing. So really?
Down.
Yeah. He implied that if he loses the election, it is because it's fixed and it's fraud. He said that he has sent more supplies to our frontline workers, when in fact, usually they get enough to last about a day and a half when they get shipments in hospitals around the country. He said that we removed under God from the Pledge of Allegiance during the Democratic Convention, which did not happen.
Did not happen.
Did not happen. He said Biden wants to shut down the entire country and destroy the economy. He also said that the employment, he's created more jobs, over 9 million jobs, and it's the highest number that has been created in jobs since, I think he said 20 years. The fact is, between...
But that was Biden, right?
But I'm getting there. So it is true that 9 million jobs were created between April and June, but 20 million jobs were lost between February and April.
That
part. He said that in 2016, he said, I can fix it. And that was his doom and gloom speech back then. He said, I alone can fix it all. And all the things that he's talking about that are happening as a result of Biden, who is not the president, is because of the actions that he has or has not taken. His son had said that he had single-handedly stopped the COVID pandemic. That is quite a bold statement considering
we're in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're still in the first wave.
Right.
He also said that there would be a vaccine for the pandemic by the end of the year, guaranteed. Now, we all know science, and we all know how long it takes for a drug to be cleared through the FTC. So why are we guaranteeing a vaccine and trying to give people a false sense of hope? That is simply dangerous. That's all it is.
Very much so.
The one that hit home for me was also the VA accountability bill. President Obama established it in 2014, and he said that he had single-handedly reversed all the issues that were going on with the VA Department of Health. That is incorrect.
That's right.
He's actually benefiting from the implementation of President Obama's bill that went into effect in 2016. He is also benefiting from the job rates that were increasing. All those things that he's taking credit for in his first 2 years were actually the product of all the things that that President Obama implemented before he left, as well as the Affordable Care Act. He said that he is going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, and he is currently now in court to dispute the aspects of the Affordable Care Act. And he wants to demolish it, but he's taking it apart piece by piece. He said that he got NATO to pay $130 billion, which was the first time they had ever paid an increased amount in over 20 years. That is simply not true. NATO always pays their bills. And he said he was going to get it to $400 billion by the end of the year. That is just simply not possible because it involves hundreds of other nations.
Right.
He said that he cut the cost of prescription drugs. Simply not true. He said the Black Lives Matter protests turned into violent riots, and that movement has incited these riots. We know for a fact that's not true. And my personal favorite, he said that he's done more for African Americans than any other president since Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
So we're not going to talk about Johnson's Voting Rights Act. I guess we're not going to talk about Johnson's Civil Rights Act. I guess we're not going to talk about the Fair Housing Act.
No.
None of those matter.
None of those.
No.
No.
Not
It's
one.
just that it's not that they don't matter. It's that what he's done is better.
Oh. I
It's
think
That's what he did.
better.
Okay.
Right.
No.
Johnson's still Johnson. It's the Johnson's not Trump, Like
I guess.
he's not
Well,
Trump.
because Johnson, because what he's talking about is he's not talking about President Johnson. He's talking about Johnson and Johnson.
Oh, baby oil.
Because they failed the black people with the talcum powder. So that's what he's talking about. Apparently.
Yeah, that's it. It's the talcum powder.
It's the talcum powder because
That's what it is.
right.
Because if you use talcum powder on your baby from 1974
right
to
all the way
current,
up
there's a class action suit that you can sign because the talcum powder recipe causes HPV of some sort
of some sort
for
And
children.
Yep.
Yeah.
For children of color. So when he was like, well, I'm better than Johnson and Johnson, but he just dropping off one of the Johnsons. That's all.
Wow.
For 72 minutes, he incited at least, we're still fact checking. I think the people that are actually doing the fact checking are exhausted and they have a concussion. We know of at least
Yes.
42 facts.
That's right.
But there are so many inherent facts in the way he delivered those statements, which makes his entire speech just not factual at all.
Wow.
Right.
It wasn't at all.
Oh, it's painful.
It was.
And it was a poor
painful.
delivery.
It was his point of trying to become, because he thinks being presidential is boring, and so this was I am not I'm really not a fan of Chris Wallace, but I have been faithfully watching Chris Wallace through this new campaign because what Chris Wallace can't do is lie. No matter how he feel or whatever, what he is never not going to do is just lie. And for Chris Wallace to say, yo, this felt like a State of the Union speech.
Right.
It was way too long. And what was real? That was his thing. What was real?
Right.
That was his last statement of it. So, and Chris Wallace is the champion of taking down the Democrat. He's the champion. He is a full Republican, and he means it. But what he is he is a party lover, and Donald Trump doesn't represent the values of the Republican Party. But what we know is the Republican Party is not accustomed to fact checking. Because if they would have even fact checked 4 years ago, they would have saw the videos that we saw when Trump was like, if I ever ran for president, I'm going to run as Republican because they're dumb as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They saw it.
Quote unquote.
They just didn't.
No, I didn't say they didn't see it. What I'm saying is it wasn't a massive. So what the Republican Party does is they send out your Kool-Aid mix and tell you to add this water, shake, drink on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. They're very specific about their information. At no point when they had them 55 candidates up to run, all afraid of taking down Hillary, no one ever took Trump serious.
Right.
Down to Tim Cruz. And this is the sad part. Tim Cruz wasn't even taken serious next to Donald Trump. That just says a lot. And Tim Cruz, even though we don't really, no one really cares for him, he is a politician, and he's a good politician. Like, he gets his message across.
Right.
And I'm just saying, they went for the everyman that I'm still trying to figure out where the everyman came from, because Donald Trump has been wealthy his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He has not known a day of real struggle.
No.
His house is gold.
Every time
Wow.
he has been in any
Gold.
financial bind, his family money has bailed him out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, like, I don't know how he became the presumptive nominee at all. And then worse, I felt like, well, they put Pence in as a puppeteer because they can control Pence. And they found out you can't control Pence when you have Orangina in the office.
Dogs roam free.
I'm just saying, anytime your diet is Big Macs and French fries, disaster is yet to come. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like he'll follow the leader, but they just weren't expecting that Trump would be the freaking leader, and that he would have because he's just bent over entirely. But he's
I
also
think they thought he was going to follow suit, though.
he has writings that, like, you know, female college education is part of the liberal war on motherhood, and that, like, smoking cigarettes causing lung cancer is fake news. The guy's a nut job.
Well, even right now, with the whole military debates, calling them
Losers.
losers and
Atlantic
chumps.
article.
And yeah, you call them suckers and losers. Yeah.
Right.
How do you do that? You go to France and refuse to go to the grave site to honor our dead soldiers that are there,
Mm-hmm.
and make a whole meeting with your boo, Putin.
Well, you know, they have to see each other. They
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say, but this is what I'm gonna say.
That's not pushback.
Dick is a powerful thing. Dick is a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. It got you turning your whole back on your country for a little vodka and a little vodka and a little next chill.
No.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But I honestly thought that was one of the out of the many disrespectful things that Trump has said and done. What he did today concerning our troops and the people that have fought for us in this country, you know, let alone not just the African American troops, but all troops. He literally boldly called them suckers and losers.
Right.
And I'm like,
Wow.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
so for me, the most disrespectful thing that he's done was he had called. So, you know, anytime a soldier goes down, the president calls the family. And the black woman, her husband was a soldier. He was killed. And he said, well, he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah. And didn't even remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
At all. But he doesn't remember Jacob Blake's name either. But I mean, and I don't want to say he don't remember because they black. But I'm just going to say he don't remember because they black.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
I bet he knows all the names of Putin's family.
All their entire lineage.
Right.
And can speak them in
Family
perfect
tree.
Russian.
That part, as he sips on vodka.
Right.
As he sips on his chill vodka right before he has to get fellatio to Putin. I'm just saying.
He also
You do what you got. They say you do what you got to do to live. I'm just saying, but I mean,
he said he kept America out of all the new wars, and he was claiming that he was intending to withdraw all the troops that are in foreign countries by the end of the year, and he's only done it by 20% at this point.
Because you can't.
Yeah, and having a son in the military, I know things that tell me
You ain't supposed to know.
I'm not supposed to. Yeah, I know. We have a code. But I know things that indicate to me that that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
All the things that he's claiming, including his border wall, which he claimed he built over 300 miles of border wall and was continuing to build at least 140 each day.
No.
Each week, but actually he rebuilt and reconstructed about 200 miles of it and actually built less than 100. But it's
Of an
not
existing wall. But of an existing wall.
yes.
Right.
But my favorite part is that parts of the wall have already been destroyed and demolished because people attempting to come over have used power tools to deconstruct it and or brought ladders that were taller than said wall to climb over. And the one part that is the most commonly trafficked by people trying to come into this country is in a court battle because they can't build on it because it's private property in the Rio Grande. So those people are actually in court right now to prevent anyone from building on their private property, and that's the most trafficked part of the U.S.
But this is what we know. It's a waste of our taxpayer money because, one, it's 2020. If you come in here, you took a one-way flight, and you don't go home. Or, if you in Mexico, what we have seen, they have full ventilated, air-conditioned tunnels to California. I'm just saying.
Right.
So,
I would know.
Right.
Get over yourself. Like I'm going. You're spending the wrong money to create, and which also lets us know why we do this show. The miseducation of the Caucasian is real. Like maybe that should have been Lauryn Hill's album. The miseducation of the Caucasian should have been the title of that album because during this year, I had not really embraced the miseducation of the Caucasian. Like, they have been so miseducated for so very long because when Tammy in the trailer park thinks she is better than me is a problem. Like, that's the problem. Like, you three kids in with 4 baby daddies and I'm paying your way with my tax dollars, but you feel more entitled than what I actually provide for you. It's a miseducation of the Caucasian. Like I think this is where we have gone wrong in our fight as people of color to a small degree because we so wanted to just be liked and accepted and included where and we didn't do that and so then we made our own they came in and destroyed that. So we need to kind of fight for the respect now more than anything else. Just respect that I was here. I ain't going nowhere and you need us because your white counterparts are not going to build these bridges and pave these roads.
Or build a White House.
They wouldn't have what they have now.
Or my thing is, they're not going to pick these oranges that you eat. If y'all leave the black and the Mexicans alone, I'm just saying, you won't. The white people aren't going to do the jobs that we do. They're in this country. They're not going to do them.
No.
Because they think the trailer park guy thinks he's too good to go out and pick oranges in Florida. It's why all the Colombians have those jobs.
I mean, but dude, the privilege, why should they? Because white privilege.
Because you don't have no privilege.
You know, as far as the white folk, I mean, you know, that they don't feel they need to because they have white privilege just to live off on. Number one. So it's like, of course they don't feel like they want to. Or they need to. They don't have to. Because just like you stated earlier in the show, is that we have to go through so many hoops and hurdles just to get to a certain level of success. And that's not even the top, but just a certain level. They can come off the street corner and talk to the right person and wind up somewhere, either the president of somebody's company or somewhere next to. They go straight to the top floor. Period.
True.
I've seen it. So it's like, yeah, they don't feel they have to. They have too much on their side.
Well, this is why it is important for you, our viewers, and all of us to cast your vote.
Mhm.
Here's what you need to know about casting your vote. So right now, with the country coming out of the memorandum with the courts, several states have already adopted in the factor of starting eviction processes,
Yeah.
meaning that if you don't have an address, you're going to have a hard time voting in this election because you have to show proof in that factor, especially if you are absentee balloting, meaning you're actually going to get your ballot and send it in. But there are ways around creating this to work best for you. Whoa. Camera just turned all on its own. Yeah, like it's turned all its own. Like it's the weight. I'm like, okay, this spinner. I'm like, really? So big things that you want to make sure. So first of all, make sure that your ID, your actual ID, and your address are the exact same, so that you don't have this repercussion. You also have the opportunity that you can have a physical address, but you can have your absentee ballot sent to a P.O. box. This is a true statement. You can have it sent to the P.O. box, and you can hand in your ballot, or you can mail it back. Because the P.O. box is considered a second address, not your main address, but your main address is added to that address, to your P.O. box. So these are ways that you are able to secure your vote so that you would be able to actually vote. You definitely want to check to make sure that wherever state you are, that you are registered to vote. You have until October 5th to make sure that you are registered to vote within your city, state, county. In your voting, make sure that you know that just because it's a presidential election, there are other local government factors that are put on this vote. Go to vote.org. That will break down for you in your state. You click on your state, and it'll tell you all of the issues that are going to appear on the actual ballot for you to get the current issues, for you to make correct and right decisions in your voting. This is so very, very important for you to be able to do in this process of voting. And as you said, like Tabitha, you were talking about earlier, and Damien and Stephen, you were talking about the vote suppression when it comes to with the post office. Like, this is a really big deal. This is where the Republicans actually have as an opportunity to steal the election, because the bigger votes that most of us we forget about is if you're in the military and you're overseas, you have to absentee ballot vote.
Right.
So those votes won't get counted if we don't have a better infrastructure in place with our voting system. How are you guys feeling about all that?
Well, I can tell you that the military, at least the Navy, is mobilizing to make sure that that does not happen. They are making sure that their soldiers abroad are completing their ballots so that they can deliver them to United States Post Office in time to be counted in this year's election. And they are taking that upon themselves. That's not coming from a federal directive. It's something that they're making sure that they're doing on their own. And I know for my son, and I won't say where he is, but his particular base has actually established a voting poll designated center down the street from their base, so that they technically will still be on base because it's a mile thing, but they'll still be able to go and physically vote in person and still be counted in the election.
Which is fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
because now, after all his, and which also lets me know this is part of the plan, because just basic common sense, why would you trash the military?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They're a significant factor in the voting process, and why would you
And I was
do this?
watching on MSNBC as well as CNN today, and
Yes.
the soldiers that were interviewed, they were like, "That was just a travesty. How could he do that?" After
Right.
things, that they were saying that we have suffered for this country and still suffering,
Right.
literally, and for you just to boldly say that.
Because also, it's not just their absentee ballots, but they're also their VA medications and things get sent through the post
Yes.
office.
Right.
So it was a big middle finger.
Yeah.
Right. Literally.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're paying
Oh, yeah.
attention.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like so like crazy, and it's like, well, why would you
That
do
is
this
my
or
heart.
not? And it's like, this is like, it feels like the moments before Amistad. It's like, okay, are the military going to rush in and take you down? Because as Stephen Corner said, he was like, they're going to have to forcibly remove Orangina from the
Absolutely.
White House.
Yes. Literally.
Like, literally forcibly remove him. And, like, I'm going, I just don't. I just don't. All I can say is we need people to vote. Make sure that you're registered to vote.
Please.
Because
Look at your down ballot candidates. There were like when we had storms and stuff, it's the city councilmen and women that show up on the street to help with trees, to help make sure that power gets turned back on. You need to know those people.
Know who your alderman is. Know who your
Mhm.
state representative. Know who your council person is. So, like, know who these people are, and so that way, not only do you vote, but you vote informed. And in the words of Vernon Jones, we are free thinkers. So be a free thinker.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this vote, our lives depend on it. COVID-19 is running rampant. There's no way around. We have no vaccine. On September 22nd is when the actual vaccines are going to be reviewed to go to the next step. That means we have no vaccine at all.
Right.
And the only way that it would get approved, it would be well after the election.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have to have a sampling. There still has to be testing and all of this to go along with these vaccinations. We are we're looking towards the second wave, like most of the other quarters. So this is what's happening. But make sure you're registered to vote. Get out to vote. Make sure. Thank you guys so much for doing this special episode of the Politics with City Love Speaks, the RNC DNC recap. We look forward to seeing you guys again really, really soon. Make sure everyone else, you tune in on Mondays for Working It Out with Darius, where this month they'll be talking about relationships. That's going to be a whole tea. And then tune in with us on City Love Speaks on Tuesdays at 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you will see Damian Michael Williams on Working It Out with Darius on a new segment called what? Everyday Gratefulness, which is really amazing. So check that out on Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will see you again, guys, next week. Thank you so much. And as I say every week, if you don't love yourself, well, ain't nobody else gonna love you either. Have a great time. Bye.
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 Bye.